My ex-business partner sued me for my secret sauce. Then the court exposed it was my Nana's recipe. People always ask lawyers for their best "I rest my case" moment. Mine came from a food truck lawsuit. My client, Nico, was being sued for $50,000 by his ex-business partner, Tony. Tony claimed Nico stole their secret sauce recipe and used it to start a competing truck. 6 months earlier, Tony had kicked Nico out of their partnership with 48 hours notice, kept the main truck, and then expanded to 3 locations. Nico rebuilt with one beat-up truck, and the only thing customers begged for? His tomato sauce. Tony wanted to wipe him out, so he hired a pricey law firm and showed up in court like he owned the place. Tony's side had screenshots of Nico's menu, bank records showing Nico bought the same key ingredients, and photos of Nico's sauce bottles that looked a lot like Tony's. On paper, it looked like copying, and Nico was terrified. The week before trial, Tony's lawyers kept sending letters that said things like cease operations and turn over profits, like Nico was some giant company, not one guy flipping orders in a hot truck. Tony refused to settle unless Nico shut down his business and signed away the sauce. Nico sat next to me in court with his hands shaking because this truck was his whole income. Every time Tony's lawyer stood up, his cufflinks flashed and Nico flinched. Tony took the stand first and acted smug the entire time. He copied everything, Tony said. The recipe, the marketing, even the bottle. I created the sauce in 2019 after months of testing. His lawyer handed the judge a thick folder of proof, including recipe cards in Tony's handwriting, neat ingredient lists, and customer notes praising the innovative sauce. The judge nodded along while flipping pages, and Nico's face went gray. When it was my turn, I didn't argue. I walked up and kept my questions tight. You say you created the recipe in 2019? Yes. It took months? Yes. And it was entirely your original creation? Tony leaned into it. Absolutely. I'm proud of it. I let him enjoy that for 2 seconds, then asked, so before 2019, you had never seen this exact sauce made by anyone else? Tony hesitated, then said, no. I nodded, went back to my table, and opened a plain manila folder I'd been sitting on all morning. I handed the judge a copy first. Your Honor, this is a trademark filing for Nico's famous sauce, dated March 15, 2017. The date did the talking. 2 years before Tony's big invention story. Tony's smile dropped fast. His lawyer popped up. Objection! Surprise! I said, it's a public filing, and it was produced in discovery. The judge waved him down. Overruled. I turned back to Tony. You weren't even in business with Nico in 2017, correct? Tony swallowed. Correct. Then I held up the next piece of paper, and it wasn't fancy at all. It was a small, yellowed index card with faded blue ink and stains on the corners. And this is Nico's grandmother's handwritten recipe card from 1987, I said. People started whispering before I even finished the sentence. Tony's lawyer tried to object again, but the judge didn't look impressed. I set the card on the evidence table. Same base ingredients, I said. Same steps. Nico didn't steal your sauce. You learned it while you were partners. Tony's face went from pale to bright red. I asked, during the partnership, you saw Nico make the sauce, right? Tony said, we both were. Answer the question, the judge snapped. Tony said, yes, I saw him make it. That was all I needed. I slid a stack of photos across the table. These are family photos from 2015, 2016, and 2018, I said. They show Nico stirring this sauce at family gatherings, tasting and filling jars. Years before Tony claims he invented anything. The judge leaned forward and looked at them one by one. Tony's lawyers stopped smiling. I added one last clean hit. We also have a sworn statement from Nico's Uncle Mario, I said. He owns a restaurant and has been buying this exact sauce from Nico's family for years. He's ready to testify it's been in their family since the 1950s. Tony started whispering to his lawyers, fast and panicked, but they looked like they wanted to disappear. The judge set Tony's recipe cards aside and stared at him. Mr. Tony, he said, you testified under oath that you created this recipe in 2019. Tony opened his mouth, then shut it. The judge didn't drag it out. He dismissed the case immediately and ordered Tony to pay Nico's legal fees plus $25,000 in damages for filing a false claim and trying to harass a competitor. Tony stared at the table and wouldn't look at anyone. Outside the courthouse, Nico hugged me in the parking lot so hard I almost dropped my briefcase. And through tears, he kept saying, he tried to take my Nana's recipe from